Thank you for waiting. Thank you for staying. It's lovely to see all these lots and lots of people here. Rosie should be doing this. But she's got no voice. And these bugs are sat in the wrong order. Really?
It'll work.
Sam, swap.
Rosie, fix your hotspot.
Go on, you two swap, we're sorted.
Does he want to know who we are otherwise?
Oh, and you guys swap.
Because the photos aren't working.
The music stopped.
We're going to have a close. How long have we got, Rosie?
You sure?
Rosie, turn the microphone on.
30 minutes. That's it. That feels better.
30 minutes. Let's do 30 minutes, because otherwise
Is the microphone on?
people will want it.
Can you hear us?
Can you all hear us?
Yeah.
Not me, then. Because I know I'm loud.
And I haven't got a microphone, I just shout. Right, so, closing panel time. So, as I say, pardon? Fun facts. No, I've got fun facts to do. This is the problem. I've been handed a piece of paper. I have in my hand a piece of paper.
You've got to do yours first.
Go first.
Yeah.
You bugger. I hate her. I really do.
I know what it says.
Tim came second in a Ryan Gosling lookalike competition.
Only second?
Only second, yeah. Gutted. It was to Ryan Gosling. No. Okay, here we go. Fun facts time. I will do them in order, I promise. Right.
These are made up.
Maybe.
Are they?
ChatGPT not help.
Does ChatGPT ever help? Right. Andrea. Her hairdresser has dyed her hair every colour. But Andrea doesn't actually know because she's colourblind.
We actually didn't check if you were. That would have been awkward, wouldn't it? Like, yeah, what?
Hang on. Still coming in. Oh, sorry. Let these miscreants come in. Welcome.
There's more.
Any more? Right, okay. Robin is the Sheffield backwards running champion. Undefeated for 13 years.
Okay. I'll take you all on the after party if you want.
I want that to happen so much. I
believe this one's true. Sam has been banned from DTX London. That'll do, actually, wouldn't it? For trying to ride a zebra around wearing John McAfee as a cape.
Not the blanket, just actually John McAfee.
And Holly, as of 1 p.m. today, Holly is now on the Wetherspoons pub watch list.
I think that one is true.
This could very much be true. Can we add some context?
No. It might come out later.
Right. So we'll go down to the serious stuff. Ask these people some awful questions. The first question
I had a fun fact.
Pardon?
I had a fun fact, didn't I?
You did.
Handed your fun fact.
It's on the back of the page.
It's on the back.
No, it's on the back of the page.
Yeah.
I don't know what my fun fact is.
You handed me the piece of paper.
Apparently I'm on the back.
Oh my word, it's on the back.
I don't know what this is.
Rosie, if I stay out after midnight, I am legally not allowed to use my legs to walk back. Sorry, Rosie. Right. Okay, should we get serious?
No.
Right, the first question I have here. What should the future of the cybersecurity community look like? What should the future of the cybersecurity community look like? I'm just going to work out. Andrew, go for it.
Oh, flipping heck, hot seat. I think kind of turning around and just looking out. Diverse people from all different sectors, all ages, all backgrounds, all experiences. I think the more diverse it is, the better it is for all of us. And what's great about here is you can see that.
Thank you.
Right. So like a slight twist on it a little bit. I think what we need to make sure of is that we get people with backgrounds and experience. There's a lot of stuff at the moment now with people coming into security. That's what they want to do. They go to uni, they do a degree in security, and that's what they trained up to do. When I started, when a lot of you lot started, I can see plenty of grey hairs. I'm looking that way, not looking back. We sort of, a lot of us shifted into security because we're good at networking or we're good at app development, and we moved across. So we had the background skills and then learned security on top of it. People now are coming into it, they learn the security skills, but they don't have the background. And neither option is the best. I think what we need is to make sure we've got a mix of both. We need people with the experience and the skills of app development or network admin or whatever it is, but we also need people trained in testing and how to be testers, the test methodologies, how to reproduce things, how to gather evidence, how to prove it, how to write reports. So as a community, I think we need to make sure we mentor people in the background skills, but also make sure they've got the sort of testing skills as well. So I suppose the future, what I'm thinking of is mentoring and rounding people off, not just focused on, I'm a tester because I've done a degree in testing and this is what the degree said I had to do. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on that bit.
No, so you've been on the end. I still have stuff to say. It's fine. For me, it's a combination of a bunch of things. Bigger, better. This is so cool, right? Seeing you guys all here today, girls, people, friends, participants, right? Makes me so happy. It really does. And I see that we are way more diverse than we were across a number of levels. It can still improve, for sure. I want to see us really kind of spread our wings a bit out into the real world a bit more, which seems crazy. How many people are serial B-sides attenders? Because I am. Yeah. We love it. And how many people here, I know we did this earlier, how many people is it their first time? That's so good. I want to keep seeing that sea of hands go up on the first time. Like, tell your friends. Keep bringing them along. People without security backgrounds, cyber curious folks. More and more of that, please. I had a friend contact me last week who's a social worker, and she's done it for like 20 years, and it's absolutely broken her. That's hard work. I wouldn't want to do that at all. And she's like, I want to get into cyber. What do I do? And she'd been talking to a friend who's a pen tester and got the saying, maybe I want to be a pen tester, which is kind of a route lots of people go down. And we sat and we chatted about loads of different options, and it was really cool. And I pointed her at Caps Lock, and she rang me. Well, she sent a voice note, which is not my favourite thing, just putting out there. And she was crying. She was so happy that she'd found this. She was crying. And then I cried, and then I rang her, and we cried a bit more, and it was great. And I think she didn't know where to start looking. She didn't know anything about B-sides. So I think spreading that word more and making it accessible, having stuff online, like we had our Careers Day stuff yesterday, finding people from, across the board, because security, is it an everyone problem? That's a whole nother debate. Can it be an everyone solution? Yes, absolutely. So keep bringing more people in, bring your friends, tell your grandparents, bring your dog, all those things.
Can I ask, I'll follow up Sam, show of hands, who is not from a cybersecurity background or information security? So we got
Hey, wicked.
quite a few, that's brilliant, isn't it? There you go.
I love that.
That'll make Sam happy as well. Holly.
So, just carrying on what you said, what I wanted to say, and this is actually something I spoke about a few years ago, is we need more ologies. We need more sociologists. We need more psychologists. We need more... What other ologists are there?
I don't know, biologists?
Basically, we need what I'd like to see is welcoming those conversations with, and I'm going to say it, AI. We need to start looking at more, how are we going to understand more human behaviours, and how are we going to adopt that in understanding human risk, and we need to look to our friends in understanding what social sciences can look like. So I actually come from criminologist.
Yeah, okay.
The one I am, I forgot. So my academia actually started in criminology, and I went into cyber criminology and then cyber psychology. There's a lot of ology there. And I think we can learn a lot from that side of the fence, from understanding how other types of behaviours within the physical world can actually then transfer into the cyber world, particularly how people are using the internet, how people are using cyberspace and their relationship with cyberspace itself. And this is going back to what I was talking about earlier about internet addiction. Digital citizenship, I think, is an area we really need to start focusing on, and who we then are online. Because we may have principles in IRL, but do we have that when we are online? When we are behaving in ways online, when we are using interfaces and things like that? So I think we need to start looking at that as a community and also welcoming that and welcoming those conversations of understanding how their experiences can actually build our communities more. And diversity, 'cause obviously we'll talk about that.
Yes.
What I really want to do is we do a lot of acknowledging diversity in this community, but do we really accept it? Do we actually accept what diversity is, brings, looks like, behaves, acts? Or do we just acknowledge it? And I think this is actually going into another question, really, which is the lip service one. Because we do so much talking. I think if I ever sit on a panel about women in cyber again, yes, it's needed, but why are we still bloody talking about it? And it's not about women in cyber, it's people in cyber. And recognising strengths and weaknesses and making them feel welcome. But what we're not doing in community enough is accepting and growing, rather than just talking about it.
Okay. I'm going to jump straight onto that question because I think you've led into it brilliantly, which is what problems of cybersecurity does the industry just pay lip service to that the community could solve? So, Robin.
I suppose, I think sort of we've sort of mentioned community. The cyber, we do a lot of training for people in work. So companies train against phishing. They train this, they train that. What I think we need to do as a community is, rather than train, we need to look to educate, which I think are two separate things. We also need to go completely out of the business and we need to go into communities. And I've no idea how you do this, but you can in a business, you can do a phishing campaign and then you can try and train people not to click links and tell them it's bad and stuff, but that doesn't help the people who are not in businesses that do that. So, I don't know, your person serving pasties in Greggs or the barman in Wetherspoons, they will never get that training, but they need it because their lives are on the internet, whether they like it or not. So I think as a community, we need to somehow work out how to start educating the world rather than training the business staff. And the difference I'm thinking between educating and training is training, you tell people you do not click links. Don't click links. Just, we've done a campaign, you click link, don't click link. And you keep repeating the same thing to hope that somebody stops clicking it. I think for education, you're explaining why not to click links, what can happen, what happens if you do click the link, and sort of working through it so people actually understand and buy into it rather than just keep getting bashed on the head of don't do it, don't do it. And it can be anything from like phishing, good passwords, online fraud, the whole thing. We need to educate the world rather than say just businesses.
I'm going to follow up on it, and this is something I've done in my personal time, which I don't have much of, but I have done it. And I kept it a bit of a secret for a very long time, purely because I didn't want it to be monetized. I didn't want anyone taking it and then making money off this. But how do you do it? I recognise that in the Portsmouth Education Partnership, talking to the parents, it sometimes fell on deaf ears, talking about cybersecurity. Talking to the teachers, they were like, yeah, okay, get it, but why is it relevant? The only thing that they could only really get on board with was online harms to do with children. I started teaching the kids. I started teaching our future digital, well, actually, they're already digital citizens, and they are from about 4 years old now. Bit of a scary moment. But it's not that we're forgetting about this band of people who need educating now. But what we can do now is I bet everyone in this room has a connection to a school somehow. A niece, a nephew, a friend, a cousin, someone who goes to school. I created a pack, a downloadable file that has streams on. It has cybersecurity posture support for the school in ways to explain what it is, what they need to do, what information they need to secure, how to secure it, how to develop a crisis management, tabletop exercises for them to do, and governing letters to write to their board to get budget for cybersecurity. I then wrote a digital champion program so that the school can nominate someone to become their digital champion, understand cybersecurity and where to get resources from. I then wrote parent support workshops that can be delivered by this person and can keep going on. And then I also wrote workshops for children in disinformation, digital citizenship, cybersecurity, and why it matters. Take it. If you want it, email me. I will send you my file. It's free to use. The only thing I don't ask you to do is brand it and say you came up with it yourself. It's not to be branded by me either. It's a community initiative, and I'm really passionate about that. But what we can do is just that little bit. And I beg you, take it from me. Take it and I'll email it to you. Change it. And if there's something that I've done wrong, also tell me, because I'm not great at everything. But it's a community initiative. And I like what people do for Cyber Essentials. That's great, but is that going to help the electrician who works on his own? No? Where do they get their cybersecurity advice from? Schools are a fantastic way for us as a community to start supporting the wider picture of uplifting that cyber resilience of basically the country, really.
Thank you, Holly. That's excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, God!
You're amazing.
Sam.
Yes, I'm going to carry on with the schools thing because I think this is really cool. I have not done any of the work you've done because you're brilliant and that's just, yay, you. So I'm working with an organisation called Hacking Games, and this came about because kids are learning coding at school. My kid's been coding, albeit was it proper coding because she's moving little blocks around in Scratch. It's still coding. It's learning that coding mindset. They're learning it super early now, super early. They are living their lives online. They're in online games. They're in the Discord forums. This is just the norm now, right? Cheat codes are a massive thing. Huge thing. And you might go, is that really hacking? Well, it's still fucking something up, isn't it? So they're learning skills of how to code, and they're in a world where they can get something for nothing without thinking about a victim. And, you know, there are people on the bad side of the hacking house, that's exactly what they're doing. They don't give a shit about the human on the end of it. And these kids are learning to, how to get more Robux or whatever it might be. Either they're nicking the parents' credit card to get like this extra cheat code, or they're just finding stuff in the forums, and they're then being targeted by criminal gangs. If they're seen to be doing this a lot, the next thing is criminal gangs saying to them, wicked, would you want 100 Robux? Do you want 200 Robux? Just do this, just do that, just do that. And before we know it, they're off down a path of, an unethical future because they're not being taught the ethics around it. So the stuff we're trying to do with Hacking Games right now is giving kids the opportunity to come and learn, the why behind it. And there's the brilliance of this wonderful industry and how they can come and get involved from that side before they wind up on a list somewhere. There's 1 in 4 16-year-olds in the UK is admitted to hacking. That's pretty high.
Can I just say, who did something really naughty when they were between the age of 13 and 17? What was that? Our old person just ran for a field of wheat or something.
Theresa May.
I'm talking about that.
Oh, hand down then, sorry.
When I went to Superdrug and I put I think it was like a Rimmel mascara up my sleeve, right? Now, let's look at all teenager behaviour. We test boundaries. We test boundaries. We're always going to do that as humans. We're learning our own moral compass. But the danger is now the field has changed. They're not so much going down a park telling their parents they're at their mate's house and staying out drinking in fields, drinking White Lightning, which is what I used to do when I was 15 years old. No, they're going on Discord servers. They're seeing what they can do. And we didn't have control over what I did back then, but it's a much more dangerous playing field. But you're not going to stop teenagers from doing that. If you tell them to stop doing it, they're going to find another way. If you let them do it in a responsible way and guide them, it makes it more fun.
This is if they can find out about
They can find
this
out,
sort of hacking,
yeah.
as opposed to
Exactly
watching
that.
the world burn.
Exactly that. It's damage limitation, really. Disaster control. What's the other one you can call it? Is that it?
That'll do.
That'll do.
Yeah, sounds good. So it's been a long day.
Teenagers are always going to be teenagers, and this also, and now I'm on my pipe, right? This also goes into, we don't get females in STEM, and I've looked at this with the schools I work with, and up until year 6, you do have lots of girls coming in and doing, and going to Scratch, going in the coding clubs. When they get into year 7, they drop off. Most of them aren't interested in computer science. Now, if we look at how the brain actually works, when a female reaches that age, and she's most likely going to start her menstruation, she's wanting to form bonds, relationships. And that's why we need to have more conversations around the ologies. And I actually proved this in one of my colleges. So I run once a year, it's my favourite thing, I do it down in Chichester. I get my digital forensics and my wet forensics. And the classes are basically male, female. Females like studying dead bodies and maggots and finding out why someone died. And I've got my male counterparts who just like fixing, breaking and finding things wrong. And I got the police in and we wrote a crime scene. It's even got its own dark web page called Cult of the White Squirrel. This is a white squirrel that lives on our grounds. Anyway, they have to solve the crime, but they can't solve it without each other's help. And by putting in the digital forensics, it's now opened up so many pathways into the wet forensics and the females coming into technical subjects by engaging them in a way that they never realised. If you sit them down and get them to code, sometimes they're just not interested. But by opening up the door to that investigation, understanding why things can be different and incorporating, as I said earlier, the ologies, maybe we can start finding different people into the industry. Sorry, this is becoming the Holly show. I'm not going to talk anymore. Sorry.
You're going to talk.
Andrew,
Probably.
add anything to that about what we do with lip service?
I was going to say, I've totally forgotten the question.
The original question is, what problems does the cybersecurity industry just pay lip service to?
Okay, I'm not going to answer that one. I'll try my best. I kind of like it framed a bit round. What do we currently do that we could do more of? What do we currently do that would be good to stop? And what should we look at starting doing in terms of kind of that lip service element? And I think, for me, one of the big ones is gatekeeping. We talk a lot about removing barriers, about making it more accessible. So I think looking at how we stop that and actually make it truly accessible. Start listening and believing in ourselves. I think we should do more of that. And seeing ourselves as role models. I think quite often we can look to others and say they're the role models, they're what we should aspire to be, but actually there might be somebody who identifies quite strongly with you. So seeing yourself as that positive person and role model rather than looking somewhere else and expecting it to look like this, actually it can look like me too. So I think that is great because I don't think a lot of people can be what they can't see. So instead of paying lip service to that, actually, I think it's standing up and seeing yourself in that role, actually, and your responsibility to the sector to help others and bring other people in, which, again, is about removing barriers, I suppose. And what was the other bit? I can't remember what the other bit I said myself. Start doing, stop doing, and do more of. I guess more of this community. There's nothing better, in my opinion, than a community conference where everybody is here for the same purpose, to learn, to share knowledge, to meet each other, to network. It's quite different from going to a conference where you feel like somebody's selling something to you all the time and actually you're not sure what you're learning or taking away from it. I think B-Sides is an amazing conference for doing just this, really, building community. And that did nowhere near answer that question, but yeah.
It's all good.
Never
Right.
mind.
Does anybody out there have a question for the panel? Oh, look at that. Go out. I think I saw yours first.
Oh, brilliant. I got there first today. I've been in this industry now for a little while, and I didn't start off in IT, right? So I moved into security through my other careers. Do we think we can do more to actually allow people to make that migration across mid-career? I mean, I've got a wife who's done exactly the same 2 years ago, head of quality care and compliance for a charity, now running compliance for data centers across Europe. So I've seen it happen, and there's some really talented people out there. But I'm in a recruitment conduit right now where I need someone who can come and hit the ground running. but I'd prefer to bring someone in that I could actually groom and bring into that groom. Bad word. Bad word. But somebody you can mould to that effect, because you see potential all the time, but budgets sometimes restrict you from bringing in and nurturing that talent, because you've got to have someone who can hit the ground running, because you've got a specific problem or area that you need to fix. So my question
For me,
is really, how do we do that? How do we,
Just try and repeat the question if I can. So, how do we recruit the next generation of security people, entry level, but who can hit the ground running?
yeah.
There you go.
For me, it's focusing on the skills that count. Now, quite often people believe one set of skills is needed, like we need all these heavily technical skills, or we need somebody who really knows the intricacies of this tooling. Actually, what businesses generally need is somebody who's a critical thinker, somebody who can problem solve, somebody who's prepared to dedicate some time to something and committed to what they're doing. And for me, it is starting to look at different skill sets. And those mid-career changes, for me, are absolutely fantastic. And we've seen loads of them who bring some incredible skill in. Quite often it's working with recruiters around what skills matter. And rather than listing these 20 things, out of those 20 things, what are the core things that you're really looking for? And often it is those skill sets that will help somebody into a career like that. So for me, it's that.
Hang on.
I'm going to get Stan in first. I'm sorry, Hon.
Yeah, no, I would as well.
So, how many people here are hiring managers? Right? I think we have a duty of care, 100%. Job descriptions are shit. They really are so bad. And if we want change, and we're not changing the damn job description that we put out every single flipping time, and actually going back and thinking about the skills that you need, what's really important? You know, what are the non-negotiables versus what are the nice-to-haves versus what will you get back? Why do I want to go and work for you? I saw a brilliant one the other day. Tara Wheeler had put out a job description that I read on LinkedIn, and it was that good. I can't do the job at all. But I was like, this is brilliant. And it's really well thought through. And it's not just a must have this and this and this and this. It was a story. And it felt amazing. And I think that as hiring managers, we need to be working with the recruitment teams to make sure that actually we are really thinking about what do we need? How can we help somebody? And what does their future look like? Not just a list of flipping certs.
For me, slightly turning it on its head, I've been asked by quite a lot of people about how do they make the transition. So it's not how, as a business, do we get people in, it's how do you... I'm currently an accountant or whatever, I want to move into cyber. And so my kind of recommendations on that side are for people, look at the skills you've got and look at where you can put them into action in a company. So the sort of, the one that I do remember was the guy was an accountant, really good, so he got fed up with it. So right, what you need to do is find yourself a company so that you don't end up stop and start again. Find yourself a company that does accountancy, but also has cyber teams and a decent team. And see if you can get yourself into there. It's a bit of a tricky first move, but do that. And then approach the security team, the cyber team. Talk to them and say, look, can I be your champion in this department? And work with them. Because if somebody came to me and said, right, I want to be your champion for the receptionists or for the accountants or for... Brilliant. I'll tell you what to teach, you teach it out there. And so I sort of said to him, do that, move in, and then slowly sort of shift yourself across. Because as an accountant, if you're starting pen testing in an accountancy firm, you know what you're looking for. I know to look for default credentials. I know to look for open shares. You know to look for a file named this because that word means something really important. And it's the same for sort of wherever you're in. If you've got the core knowledge for that industry, use that knowledge as a tester. Even if you just help the testing team. You could be the one sitting there looking over the shoulder of the tester who's scrolling through all the open shares. And they're scrolling through, you're going, stop, open that one. No, rubbish. Next, yes, open that. And work with people. And that would be a really good way to sort of slowly shift yourself in. And then, once you're in, build yourself up. And then you can maybe sort of expand out. So that's how to get in rather than to get people in. Go on.
It's an idea I just had. This happens quite a lot. We need something where people can gain experience and show their experience. We need almost like somewhere where, I said about the electrician, the sole trader, or someone like the coffee shop, like a central body where people can devote their time and almost build a repertoire of things that they can do, so that they're building on hitting the ground running. They're finding what skills they're interested in. They're finding areas of that, that they actually think, actually, I really like that, and it's not what I was looking at all. We almost need to, as a community, find this like central body, maybe a charity that offers out these services. Again, this has just popped into my head. But maybe something like that as a community interest where people can get these skills and they can showcase them, like a lab sort of thing, but actually also feed in to help people. Don't know. Someone roll with it.
Something to add to Robin's comment was just that on the B-sides from last year, there was a presentation on lying on your CV. Again, worth watching, to talk about how do you take what your skills and capabilities to answer the questions without actually answering the questions. So you're just kind of not telling the truth, but you're actually selling what you do without answering the question. And the other point was, where'd you get that experience? Is we know that working with having students on placement opportunities, on apprenticeships and degree placements all works, but there's nothing saying to going to an organisation saying, would you mind if I came and did work experience with you as an adult? It's the same sort of concept of getting somebody in trying, working on a project or solving a problem. As an organisation, you have a whole number of things that you'd like to get round to if you had the time to get round to it, and just sort of opening up the barriers and saying, why don't you go to an organisation and say, have you got any problems you want solving that I can take a look at? So you've got the ability to demonstrate your strengths, have that work experience, and then hopefully leads to an opportunity. So just thinking out the box.
Fantastic, thank you. Transferable skills are amazing, aren't they? You have to talk to people like Dorman. It's like on the bouncer. Well, what's your transferable skills? People skills, conflict resolution. All these things that make sense. Other questions? So there's another question over there. Yes?
Holly,
Yeah.
you mentioned an education pack.
Yeah.
Any objections to using it for the scouts or other youth groups?
No, absolutely. No, I just did it for schools because there's just so bloody many of them. I do run the cybersecurity scout badge for my son's pack. So, absolutely. Just change it from the word school to scout.
What age is it aimed at? Because I think it's a brilliant idea.
Primary and secondary school is what I've got. So I've got two different ones with the language very different. And then the secondary school, for the pupil, I've then got years 7 and 8, and then 9, 10 and 11, through identifying that there are different trends in the way that children are using the internet. For example, years 9, 10 and 11 have separate. What does that sound then? Like Australia? Separate mental health in social media ones, and damage or harm reduction in terms of illicit substances. I was talking about it at lunch with people. So all ages.
Influence the computer science curriculum, because my son's a computer science teacher.
Yeah.
And I keep on telling him, tell people about security. It's about a little bit.
Yeah.
So how do we influence the educators? Because ultimately people want you to get GCSEs.
Yeah.
So how do we take this as a community forward through to our MPs and given we've got an election maybe?
Yeah.
And how do we ensure that what we're doing for the community is what should be done from the ground upwards rather than top down?
So in my letters that I put together, you just need to change who the address goes to, and the signature strip at the bottom to your own name, or the school, or the school's name. Schools love nothing more than scary statistics. And these scary statistics of children being involved in crime, the amount of children being groomed online, both through sexual exploitation and radicalisation into both political parties, nation states, and cybercrime activities, include all of those scary statistics, and they start listening. And also, how much it's going to cost them should they not take this advice. And I used the statistics of 2 local colleges, one in the Isle of Wight and one in Portsmouth. One was they were attacked by a ransomware gang that it was 6 years ago now, they still haven't recovered. One was about 2 months ago, and we still haven't fixed our network. They had no idea. They just came in. It was through bloody ransom. They came in with no other intention other than just to make an absolute mess of things. So you start using those stats, they start sitting up and listening.
I just think just one thing, IC Squared has got some really good educational pack stuff as well.
Yeah.
Wash alongside of yours.
Yeah, so I've used some of the IC Squared as well. As I say, I have pulled in resources. I've basically collated, made my own content, and made a lot of content more digestible to how schools need that information delivered. And yeah, and I say, it must stay that way. Please take it. It's just a central resource to start getting people talking.
Cyber First as well came to the region in March. The contract has been won and they're looking for mentors and they're looking for people to engage that can deliver content in the schools. So if people sign up as Cyber First mentors and ambassadors, then they can get into each of the region schools.
And another thing is to engage with a school, sometimes you need clearance, and a way through that is joining your local STEM ambassadorship. They go through the clearance with you and you will already have relationships with schools.
Okay. Right. I'm going to have to bring this to a close. We've got very, very quickly. Very, very quickly.
Is he looking at me?
I'm looking
He is looking at me, isn't he?
One thing from the past that hasn't been fixed that you'd say, if I could wave a magic wand, we'd fix it. Andrea.
Why me first?
Okay, Sam.
I mean, I don't know, hunger. No, I know. The fact that we're not in the pub yet, that's not been fixed. There's so many things. I mean, you talk earlier about the whole, as much as things change, they stay the same. It's so true. We're never going to get to 100% visibility, for example. But we're still really quite freaking bad at it for a bunch of reasons because we're not really partnering properly with our businesses still now. So there we go. Visibility. We can get that better.
Robin.
Stop blaming users.
Yep.
Users will do what they do. Phishing is the common example. If a user clicks on a link, and something bad happens, the email shouldn't have got to them in the first place. If it got to them, there should have been warnings. If they clicked the link, they shouldn't have been able to get out to the website. If they got out to the website, they shouldn't have been able to download anything bad. If they downloaded something bad, it should have been caught on the machine. If it wasn't caught on the machine, it should have been caught when it actually did something and tried to talk out. 7 areas where it could have caught it, 1 human clicking the link. If you blame the user, you should be blaming the IT security team 7 times as much because they're the ones that screwed up. So stop blaming users, stop scaremongering, stop telling people they're idiots, let them click the links. We should be fixing the problem elsewhere. Yes, educate them as to, it's probably not a good idea to click that link and tell them why, but don't rely on them not clicking the link.
Yep, stop with the smoke and mirrors, actually. Demystify it. It is generally just a job, or can be a very exciting job, a great job with lots of opportunities, but the mystery kills it for people. And I think it's one of the reasons why girls reach that age and suddenly decide it's not for me because it's seen as too hard or it's seen as out, over there. So I think for me, remove the smoke and mirrors, say it as it is. It's a job, a great job, and many great jobs, should I say, but it is just that.
I think there's too much gatekeeping with people, and I'm going to say something that people probably are going to be like, "What on earth she said that?" There's too many people at the top in cybersecurity who just keep themselves at the top and don't allow enough people in. I've seen it myself. I've seen it with women against women. I've seen it with people against people. We need to be doing a lot more reverse mentoring to fix some of the problems we talk about without always sitting on the same panels, which I get invited onto to talk about the same problems. And sometimes with the same people. I think we need to be more transparent. I think we need more mentoring opportunities, identifying and being more open about the problems we've faced and how we overcome them to share our stories. Because you cannot be us if you cannot see us.
Thank you. Thank you all. And I'll add to that, there will no doubt be a call for papers for B-sides in the future, either this one or others. Get yourself up here. Come and have a laugh. You're in a safe environment. So, big round of applause to our panel. Thank you all.